Kids aren't stupid. Well, some are, but a few adults are too, so that has nothing to do with age. Sometimes the younger generation can actually be more astute than their elders in the sense they react to what they're seeing with instinct and honesty. Unlike a lot of us that just go and moan on the internet. Children are also innocent though, and it's this innocence that can see certain things happen in the world of wrestling that just flies over their heads, or even makes them come to ridiculous conclusions. I know this because a young Simon did this time and time again. I'll give you a reason why they rock, however, because they like to ask why a lot. As do I. Good bunch. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and this is 10 wrestling moments everyone misunderstood as kids, using the word why for each entry. Sorry. Number 10. Why doesn't the Ultimate Warrior look like the Ultimate Warrior anymore? When the Ultimate Warrior returned at WrestleMania 8 to save Hulk Hogan from the evil clutches of Papa Shango and Sid Justice, something was different. Most realised that he wasn't as muscular as he once was, and that he'd cut his hair, but for the children among us, there was only one answer. This must be a new Ultimate Warrior, because the first one had died. Yep, this wasn't just a secluded rumour either, because it soared around playgrounds the world over, to the point if you're of a right age you can have this chat with someone from the other side of the universe, and they'd heard it as well. Obviously it wasn't true at all, and Warrior had just leaned down, probably because of the situation within the WWE at the time, but that wasn't the conclusion for anybody under 13. Warrior had passed on, and Vince McMahon went out to find someone who looked just like him. In 2018, that is ridiculous, and probably was back then too. Number 9. Why isn't Marty Jannetty fighting back? Seeing Shawn Michaels throw Marty Jannetty through a window was one of those moments that stood the test of time when it comes to wrestling history. It's something we still chat about today because it made that much of an impression. How could the dastardly HBK do that to his friend? Clearly Marty felt the same, because rather than return to get revenge on his former best pal, he just never turned up on TV. Ever. Months went by and Jannetti was nowhere to be seen, leading children everywhere to wonder how badly scarred he must be to hide away like this. It was a constant worry between educational classes. As it turned out, however, in his non-wrestling life, Marty had gotten into a drunken skirmish with a police officer, which was keeping him out of action. Not great timing really, and was probably what started the Rocker's demise within the WWE. Number 8. Why is Lex Luger a good guy now? In 1993, you have no idea how stupid the Lex Luger push was unless you experienced it. Forget Roman Reigns, Lex had a bus and was sent around the USA shaking hands and kissing babies, as we were all told he was the all-American hero. It didn't work as we know, but it made even less sense because before this, Luger had been parading around as the narcissist, looking at himself in mirrors and basically acting like a massive idiot. But all of a sudden, we were meant to ignore that and accept him as the best thing since sliced bread. Forget being a kid, this is still confusing now. It was even more difficult because if you were a young pup, you'd grown up on Hulk Hogan, who had always been presented as the larger-than-life hero. Luger was just thrown at us in that way, and we were told to accept it. No story, no reason, no excuse. This was, of course, Vince McMahon wanting to find a new Hulkster and picking Lex, but from a television standpoint, it wasn't half odd. Number 7. Why do we have to watch this Tuesday in Texas? When you were a kid, watching wrestling could be hard if you didn't have cable or satellite TV. It was hidden away like some sort of Pandora's box, and all you could do was nag your parents to give you some cash because all children are poor and at the control of their parents. It didn't stop us from begging for merchandise, that went without saying. But even WWE took that too far in the build to and during Survivor Series 1991, where we were told that yes, we were fools for buying this show because what we really wanted was Tuesday in Texas, and that would cost us more money. Forget that this was something the company never did, but it was clear if you missed it, you were going to lose touch of the stories going on. So that was more cash down the drain. It was ridiculous too, because while a decent show, nothing was sorted out in the Undertaker-Hogan feud, which was the main reason to get the thing in the first place. Number 6. Why are good-looking men always bad? When Shawn Michaels turned heel in the early 90s, all of a sudden he was prancing around as his nickname suggested, acting all sexy. Similarly, Rick Martel, who was a model, enjoyed being super flamboyant. Rick Rude was Rick Rude, like nothing more than grinding his hips while telling us how attractive he was. In short, the message was if you were presented as a good-looking chap, that's all you cared about, you really enjoyed it, and that was enough to be booed out of any building you walked into. Unfortunately, as this was pro wrestling, there was an uncomfortable undertone that such behaviour was trying to tap into homophobic attitudes and play up to it. The fact Goldust came soon afterwards was more evidence of this, and it was just a needless route to go down. There was plenty of horrendous commentary that backed this up too, even though as a child, it just seemed as if Shawn was really happy with his long locks. Number 5. Why did The Undertaker just hang the Big Boss Man? I still don't think I know the answer to this, and I'm past 30. But yes, at WrestleMania 15, along with The Brood, The Undertaker hanged the Big Boss Man after their match. It was uncomfortable to say the least, and we'd just seen a murder on WWE TV. Everyone, including kids, turned into Raw the next night to see what had become of the henchman, only to see him stroll out as if nothing had happened 8 days later. What? It was simply done to shock our minds and I would guess make children freak out with what they were seeing, just so we'd all come back once more. Because yes, if you hang someone, they will die. What even is wrestling? Number 4, why does Al Snow have a disembodied head? I love Al Snow. He helped me become a pro wrestler and was just a damn good dude every time I met him. But it's fair to say that back during the Attitude Era, a lot of kids looked at him and wondered why he was carrying around a disembodied head as if he was a serial killer. As older fans know, it was a reference to a sex act, and Mick Foley telling Snow in ECW he had to get a little head to further his career. A piece of advice that Al took literally. It worked though and made him memorable to say the least, and he was invested in the idea no end. He used to take Head to dinner with him after shows and order it some food, just in case any fans stumbled across his meal. It all went bad in 1999, however. Keenshaw State University professor Sabrina Parton forced Walmart to remove his action figure because she thought it carried with it a poor message. All a matter of context, really. Number 3, why is AKEEM white? AKEEM was a gross caricature of the African American male, and he was white. He was reborn in a voodoo ceremony that also took place in something resembling a ghetto, and the whole thing was one of those scenarios where you just want to stop watching wrestling forever. For a kid, it completely ruined whatever basic grasp of geography we had and forced parents the world over to answer some pretty uncomfortable questions. The WWE made sure to repeat the phrase deepest, darkest Africa so many times that everyone just got more and more confused. Children see the world in simple terms, and the awful undertones didn't come across, but it was still baffling even on the surface. What's odder, this was all to try and take the mick out of Dusty Rhodes. What a waste of time. Number 2, why didn't I get this pun? I think we're all guilty of this, or at least I was, and it's something I still talk about today. But how on earth did the fact that the Undertaker's manager was called Paul Bearer never ring true with my brain? No joke either. It wasn't until I was very much an adult until I realised it was a play on Paul Bearer, and now I'm ashamed to my core. Just throw me in the bin. I can only assume I just saw this as a dude named Paul, and his last name was of no relevance to me. It's not like wrestling isn't drowning in puns ever. Look at the roster today. The Bank Statement, Twisted Bliss. In the past we've had The Big Ending, The Educator, which is the worst one of all time. We could do a whole list just on terrible wordplay in the WWE, and Paul Bearer is somehow both the best and worst of the lot, which went under the radar if you had yet to go through puberty. Number 1, why isn't Prince Albert a prince? If you were a kid in 1999 and had grown up on wrestling, royalty wasn't that rare. We'd seen kings aplenty, all of whom had played up to their status. Jerry Lawler even wore a damn crown and refused to let anyone else go near it. In that case then, why did a man who was a prince not do the same? Oh, how little we know. Prince Albert not only lacked that feature, but didn't look very regal at all, clad in PCV gear with a back that looked like an old woman's carpet. And he was just around to help Droz with his tattoos, and that didn't make any sense. Of course, a few years later we came to realise that Prince Albert was in fact a reference to a very painful piercing procedure in which metal is shoved down somebody's penis. And no, that's not a joke. It also has to be the most wince-inducing thing Vince Russo ever came up with, and that's saying something, because it's Vince Russo.